Glass shattered behind the bar, and Kara said, "Don't look at me like I owe you the truth." The room spun with music and accusation, and my throat burned with a question I could not swallow. Emma said, "You promised me," and the word promised felt like stepping on a nail. Liam froze, his name buzzing in whispers that cut like wire. Kara smiled. The kind of smile that lets a house burn and calls it warmth. Emma said, "Tell me it's not what it looks like," but the mirror caught our faces and made liars of us all. Maya's eyes begged us to stop, but her voice drowned beneath the bass. Kara said, "You never notice what's right in front of you," and the floor slipped from under the years we built. The birthday candles hissed out in a draft, smoke coiling like secrets. Emma said, "How could you?" and silence hit harder than the glass. Somewhere a phone recorded, framing love as proof of a crime. The music kept playing like nothing had happened, and the city laughed below us. Emma said, "We don't break on my birthday," but the words came out chipped. Kara adjusted her earring as if rearranging facts. Liam said, "I should explain," and the taste of smoke turned metallic on my tongue. Balloons bobbed at the edge of the roof, nodding like witnesses. Emma said, "Explain why I'm the last to know," and someone somewhere cheered for a different party. Kara said, "You set the rules. I followed them better," and the sentence stuck like gum in a lock. The years lined up behind us, each one waiting to be counted and dismissed. Emma said, "We were never a competition, but memory disagreed in 1,000 small ways." Maya finally spoke, "Please, not like this," and the wind blew out another candle we forgot to relight. The first laugh we shared was over a broken swing in 6th grade, and I felt it crack again in my chest. Emma said, "You held my hand when I failed my driver's test," and the memory flickered like a dying bulb. Kara said, "You asked me to be ruthless for you," and the word for you arrived with teeth. Liam tried to speak, and silence answered for him. Emma said, "We traded secrets like bracelets," and my wrist felt suddenly bare. Kara said, "I learned to want what you want," and the sky pressed lower. Chairs scraped as strangers edged away from our history. Emma said, "You wore my voice like perfume," and the scent turned sour. The city's sirens rose, then faded, leaving us on an island of old promises going under. The crowd thinned, leaving footprints in the water like commas in a sentence we could not finish. Emma said, "If I open your phone, will it shut my heart?" And the question felt heavier than keys. Kara said, "You don't want the answer, you think you do," and the night agreed. Liam said, "It wasn't supposed to be this, but plans rarely survive birthdays." Maya hovered near the table, guarding the past with paper plates. Emma said, "You rehearsed this," and Kara's silence took a bow. The bass softened into a heartbeat I could not trust. Emma said, "Choose the truth, even if it ruins us," and the rooftop exhaled. Somewhere below, a siren flared and vanished, like courage on a timer. The manager asked if we were okay, and nobody wanted to borrow that word. Emma said, "We'll clean this up," meaning the glass and not the years. Kara tapped her nail on the table, counting something I could not see. Liam said, "I crossed a line," and the sentence paced the floor. Emma said, "Lines don't move on their own," and my voice trembled but held. Maya gathered the candles into a cup, protecting small flames from the wind. Kara said, "You always thought I was your mirror," and I realized I had been rehearsing her smile for years. Emma said, "I was your friend, that's all," and the word friend felt too fragile to hold us. The city lights blinked, and somewhere a recording saved. Emma remembered the summer when everything seemed endless, the days stretching with laughter and promises. She said, "We swore that night we'd never drift apart," and the echo of fireworks still clung to her memory. Kara's voice overlapped. "You told me I was family," but the word now tasted of ash. Emma recalled their sleepovers, secrets whispered under blanket forts, and she said, "I thought the walls kept us safe." Kara's laughter in the memory sounded like glass chimes before a storm. Liam had once said, "You two are unbreakable," and Emma wanted to believe it still, but the rooftop air from last night tore holes in that belief. Maya's gentle reminder returned. "Friends like you two don't happen twice," and Emma felt the sting of a future that might be fractured forever. The playground where Emma and Kara first met smelled of rust and rain, and Emma's memory caught on the swing's creak. She said, "You pushed me higher when I was too scared to jump." Kara's younger voice lingered, "I'll never let you fall." Now the echo felt like betrayal rehearsed from the beginning. Emma recalled scraped knees and Kara pressing a bandage on, saying, "Pain fades faster when someone cares." Liam once teased, "You two even fight like sisters," and it had felt like a blessing then. Emma whispered, "What happened to us?" as the memory of chalk drawings on cracked pavement blurred. Emma's mind drifted to the high school cafeteria, where Kara waved her over like royalty saving a seat. She said, "You made space for me when no one else would." Kara's memory reply was, "We were a team against the world." Emma saw the scattered notebooks, the promises carved into margins. She said, "We built kingdoms from nothing," and Kara's eyes in the present now looked like fire behind glass. Liam had once laughed, "The way you two argue, it's love disguised," and Emma carried that as truth for years. Maya's voice whispered from another day, "Don't let jealousy rewrite your history," but history had already started bleeding ink. Emma recalled the late-night rooftop when they both promised to leave town together, stars stretching like maps. She said, "We planned escapes, drew futures with chalk in the dark." Kara's remembered whisper was, "We'll never let love divide us." The promise hung like a lantern in the night. Liam's presence had always been a ghost between them, even then, laughing at their daring. Emma admitted to herself, "I believed in forever," and now the word twisted sharp. Maya had warned softly, "Dreams change, but trust should not," and Emma wondered if Kara's dream had always been to take what she could not share. Emma's thoughts returned to the photo booth strip still tucked in her drawer, each frame a different version of their love as friends. She said, every laugh felt permanent. Kara's remembered words pressed, "Don't ever throw these away," and Emma had obeyed. The strip showed smiles, tongues out, eyes closed in joy. Liam once said, "You two could teach loyalty like a class," and Emma felt the irony now coil tight. Maya's voice in memory warned, "Keep proof of what's real," and Emma realized those photos were all she had left untouched. She whispered, "But what do I do when even proof lies?" Emma woke to a screen full of messages that read like bruises. She said, "You blocked me last night," and the 3 dots pulsed, then vanished. Kara replied, "Needed space," and the word space felt like a slammed door. Liam said, "Please hear me," and guilt bled through each letter. Emma said, "Then call," and the clock ticked louder than her heart. A photo arrived, cropped too tight to explain, a shadow shaped like a secret. Emma said, "Why send fragments?" and the ceiling seemed lower by an inch. Kara said, "Trust the parts you know," and Emma wanted the whole. Maya texted, "I'm coming over," and the promise steadied the floor. Emma said, "If we were honest, none of this would break," and the room, unpersuaded, held its breath. The cafe smelled like toasted sugar and old finals weak panic. Emma said, "I asked for truth, not silence," and her coffee cooled untouched. Kara arrived late and glossy, and she said, "Let's be adults," as if the word made bandages. Liam hovered by the door, then sat, and he said, "I crossed wires I shouldn't have." Emma said, "You crossed me," and the cup wobbled in its saucer. Kara said, "You always center yourself," and the floor pitched. Maya slid in, saying, "This meeting is for answers," and the table became a witness stand. Emma said, "Did you use my secret?" and the cafe noise dimmed. Kara blinked, patient as a cat, and said, "I protected you." Emma said, "From what? From me?" and the foam collapsed. The gallery opening felt like a dare in good shoes. Emma said, "You invited me to watch you rewrite us," and the painting stared back. Kara said, "Art tells the truth no one will say," and the canvas glowed with borrowed memories. Liam said, "This wasn't meant to hurt," but hurt arrived anyway. Emma recognized their rooftop in oil and knives, and she said, "You painted my words into your mouth." Kara smiled for a whispering donor and said, "We share a history, let me carry it." Maya said, "Ask for consent, not applause," and the lights hummed. Emma said, Take my name off your captions, and the curator suddenly found interest in the floor. Kara said, I can't undo the opening, and the room clapped on cue. Outside, the rain finally committed. Emma said, Were you with him before the party? And the water answered first. Kara said, Lines were blurred, and Emma heard, chosen. Liam said, I told her we should stop, and the past buckled. Emma said, You rehearsed my heartbreak together, and traffic hissed like snakes. Kara said, You left me out of your future, and the accusation wore her perfume. Maya stepped between, saying, This is where we stop lying, and the crosswalk counted down. Emma said, Admit it, and Kara's silence filled the lane. Liam said, I'm sorry, and apology felt like a hand too late to catch. The light turned green, and no one moved. The group chat exploded like a power line in a storm. Emma said, Who leaked my voice memo? And the room spun slow. Kara typed, Not me, and the denial looked ironed. Liam said, I sent it only to you, and panic pixelated his grammar. Emma said, Then it walked itself to her, and anger steadied her hands. Old emojis resurfaced like ghosts wearing smiles. Maya said, Screenshots never die, and the thread scrolled like court records. Emma said, You weaponized my confession, and her chest found a new tempo. Kara wrote, You blame me for your fear, and fear finally answered back with spine. Emma said, I'm done guessing, and the typing bubble froze in place. The truth detonated in Emma's inbox with the precision of a knife. She said, Your name signed my pain, and the subject line cut deeper than the body of the email. Kara said, I told him because he deserved to know, and the words turned trust into ash. Liam said, She showed me your confession, and the echo of that line cracked the air. Emma said, That was mine to share, and her throat burned like an open wound. Kara replied, Secrets rot when hidden, and Emma realized some rot was planted. Maya said she broke the circle, and her voice bent the silence. Emma said, You fed my heart to the person I loved, and the walls narrowed in. Kara's smile, even through text, dripped like poison disguised as medicine. Emma whispered, You betrayed the best version of us, and the cursor blinked like a countdown. The cafe replayed in Emma's mind, but this time twisted, every sound carrying weight. She said, You weaponized me for him, and her chair scraped hard. Kara said, You think everything belongs to you, and the room held its breath. Liam said, I didn't ask for this, but guilt pressed against his words. Emma said, Then why didn't you refuse? And the question bent his posture. Kara said, Because he wanted me to tell him, and Emma flinched. Maya said, You don't confess what isn't yours, and her cup cracked in her hand. Emma said, Every secret I gave you was sacred, and the sentence shattered like a plate on tile. The crowd stared as though watching a stage play, unaware of how sharp the script cut. The gallery whispers turned into knives when Emma saw her own journal entries on display. She said, That's my handwriting, and the letters swam under spotlight. Kara said, They're ours now. And applause burned Emma's ears. Liam said, I told you not to, but his voice drowned in wine glasses clinking. Emma said, You stole my grief, and her pulse drummed hard. Kara said, I gave it a canvas, and her smirk turned cruelty into art. Maya said, She used you as pigment, and the words froze midair. Emma said, You took my blood and signed your name, and the crowd shuffled uneasy. The paintings blurred into wounds Emma could not close. The rain returned heavier, each drop louder than the last. Emma said, You rehearsed betrayal, and her umbrella flipped in the wind. Kara said, I only revealed what you feared, and lightning lit her face. Liam said, This was never love, but his voice cracked. Emma said, No, this was theft, and her tears blended with rain. Kara said, You can't own truth, and the words tasted metallic. Maya said, Truth without consent is violence, and silence followed. Emma said, You dragged me naked into the storm, and the street tilted. Kara stood without flinch, her coat clinging dark to her skin. The group chat receipts burned like evidence stacked on a desk. Emma said, "She sent him my voice," and her hands trembled steady. Kara typed, "You gave me those words," and the text stung. Liam said, "I never asked for it this way," and his icon dimmed. Emma said, "But you listened," and the silence confessed. Maya said, "This is betrayal with timestamps," and the thread scrolled long. Emma said, "You stripped my agency," and her voice carried more steel than sorrow. Kara wrote, "You built walls too high," and Emma whispered, "You broke them with fire." The chat ended with a screenshot, proof that could not be unsent. The rooftop that once held laughter now braced for thunder. Emma said, "You stole my words, my trust, my heart," and her voice cut sharper than glass. Kara said, "I only showed what you hid," and her smirk invited fury. Liam said, "I never wanted to be the reason," but his presence felt like salt in an open wound. Emma said, "You were the reason she had the knife," and the rain began to sting. Kara said, "I became what you refused to see," and her eyes glowed defiance. Maya shouted, "Stop burning what you can't rebuild," but the words fell heavy. Emma said, "Tonight, the mask breaks," and silence cracked wide. The city lights below flickered like witnesses unable to intervene. The storm pushed harder, each word heavier than rain. Emma said, "You rehearsed betrayal in my shadow," and thunder answered. Kara said, "I carried your weight until it broke me, and the lie tasted polished." Liam said, "I never chose sides, but his silence earlier proved otherwise." Emma said, "Silence is a choice," and lightning flashed across her face. Kara said, "You made me invisible," and her voice cracked into the downpour. Maya said, "She was never invisible, she was your mirror," but no one listened. Emma said, "You wanted to be me, now you're nothing but the echo," and the rooftop trembled with rage. Emma stepped forward, the distance between them shrinking to inches. She said, "Look me in the eyes and say it," and the rain traced her cheeks. Kara whispered, "I loved him," and the words ripped through the storm. Liam said, "Kara, stop," but the damage carved deep. Emma said, "You loved what I loved, not him," and her voice struck like thunder. Kara said, "You never deserved loyalty," and the rooftop shook with fury. Maya cried, "This ends with blood if you don't stop," but the rage fed itself. Emma said, "Then let it end," and lightning lit her tears like fire. The confrontation spiraled into chaos. Emma said, "Every secret I gave you is poison now," and her voice cracked with power. Kara shouted, "You built me from scraps and then cursed me for breathing," and the truth warped. Liam said, "You both are breaking me," but neither turned. Emma said, "You chose her shadow," and thunder rolled like judgment. Kara said, "I chose survival," and she spit the word like glass. Maya shouted, "Survival isn't betrayal," but the storm swallowed her plea. Emma said, "This is the death of us," and lightning split the sky in jagged reply. The storm calmed just enough for the final blow. Emma said, "You are no friend, just a thief wearing my smile," and her voice cut clean. Kara said, "I was always stronger," but her eyes betrayed a crack. Liam said, "I never wanted this war," and his words dissolved into the night. Emma said, "War was all she wanted," and the silence deepened. Kara said, "You'll remember me forever," and Emma whispered as the mask that fell. Maya said, "Then it's finished," and the rooftop exhaled. The rain softened, but the wound stayed raw. The storm was gone, but the silence after felt heavier than thunder. Emma said, "I don't know what's left of me," and her reflection in the window shook. Kara was absent, but her shadow lingered. Liam said, "You're stronger than this," though his voice cracked under the weight of guilt. Emma said, "Strength doesn't heal betrayal," and she turned away from his eyes. Maya said, "You're not broken, just scarred," and the words steadied like stitches. Emma whispered, "I want the pieces back," but she knew some were gone forever. The night held stillness but not peace, and the city below hummed with lives untouched by this wreckage. Morning light cut through curtains like an unwelcome reminder. Emma said, "Every corner smells like her," and she pressed her forehead to the table. Maya said, "It fades if you let it," though her eyes betrayed worry. Liam lingered in the doorway saying, "I should leave," but his feet stayed planted. Emma said, "Leaving doesn't erase the damage," and the words fell flat. The kettle screamed, then hushed, and Emma thought it sounded like grief. Maya said, "Stay until she can breathe again," and Liam sat down heavy. Emma whispered, "Breathing doesn't feel like living," and her hands shook around the mug. The park was too bright for the heaviness inside. Emma said, "We laughed here once," and her eyes followed children on swings. Maya said, "Memory is cruel, but it can also mend," and she tightened her scarf. Liam said, "I don't deserve to sit here," but Emma shook her head. She said, "Deserving stopped mattering the night she betrayed me." Birds scattered from a tree, startled, and the moment bent under silence. Maya said, "You'll learn to trust again, maybe not her, but yourself." And Emma breathed deeper. She whispered, "Trust feels like a language I forgot," and the breeze tugged her hair gently. The photo booth strip returned to Emma's hand, edges curled with time. She said, "These smiles are ghosts now," and her chest hollowed. Kara's absence screamed louder than her presence once did. Liam said, "She doesn't deserve to haunt you," and his hand hovered near hers. Emma said, "She already does," and the photos blurred with tears. Maya said, "Ghosts only stay if you let them," and she touched Emma's shoulder. Emma whispered, "I don't know how to let go," and the silence folded around her. Outside, the city hummed on, indifferent, while inside a single strip of paper felt heavier than stone. Night fell again, and Emma stood at the mirror, searching for herself in the glass. She said, "I don't see the girl who trusted," and her breath fogged the reflection. Maya said, "She's not gone, she's transformed," and the words steadied Emma's chest. Liam said, "You survived her and that's enough," but Emma's silence lingered. She whispered, "Survival isn't enough," and the mirror fractured in her imagination. Maya said, "Then rebuild stronger," and Emma nodded faintly. The reflection blinked back, a woman changed, scarred, but still standing. Morning found the apartment gentler than her chest. Emma said, "I'm closing the door that keeps bleeding," and the suitcase finally took shape. Maya said, "Closure is a verb," and folded the last shirt with care. Liam stood at the threshold and said, "If forgiveness comes, I'll earn it." Emma said, "Forgiveness is not a leash," and the room seemed lighter. The mirror caught a steadier gaze than last night. Emma said, "I won't carry what isn't mine," and the silence agreed. Down the hall a neighbor laughed, proof that life drifts forward even when hearts stall. The museum atrium echoed like a ribcage, and footsteps held their breath. Kara said, "You came to see me end it or save it," and her voice tried for velvet. Emma said, "I came to return what you took," and the words carried spine. Kara said, "Your story was heavier than you knew," and the lie felt rehearsed. Emma said, "Heavy or not, it was mine," and the marble floor steadied her stance. A guard coughed, and the sound closed the distance. Emma said, "I will not be your material," and Kara's smile collapsed into silence. Outside, wind teased the flags, and the day refused drama. Liam said, "If you shut the door on me, I'll understand," and his shoulders finally unclenched. Emma said, "I'm not your penance," and the sun drew edges around her words. He said, "I will spend years proving gentleness," and the promise did not ask to be believed. Emma said, "Prove it to yourself first," and the road seemed wider. Maya said, "Healing prefers daylight," and the three of them exhaled like new students of weather. Emma said, "I choose quiet, not erasure," and even the traffic softened. The post took 3 drafts and 1 deep breath. Emma said, "This is my voice, unedited," and the cursor finally yielded. Maya said, "Truth with consent is reclamation," and the sentence landed whole. Liam said, I'll turn comments off if you need. And Emma smiled without answer. She wrote, "What was stolen does not define me," and her chest lifted. Notifications began to ring like distant boys. Emma said, "I'm done auditioning for Care," and the room felt larger than its walls. Dusk pulled a blue ribbon across the river, and the city turned on like constellations. Kara waited by the railing and said, "You'll miss me when the echoes fade." Emma said, "I won't miss the echo, only the girl I imagined beside me." Wind pressed the water into small, tireless fists. Kara said, "I made you strong," and the claim fell into the current. Emma said, "I made me strong when I walked away," and the last light sharpened her outline. Maya's message chimed, a single word that meant home. Emma said, "They didn't just betray me, they betrayed every version of us we could have been," and the night kept it.